What's going on, guys? PXCam20 back again with a brand new video. We are here for the Manufacturer Cup at Lake Major GP circuit, and we are starting our very first 2020 season of the Manufacturer Cup. And if you guys haven't noticed yet, we had changed from the Aston Martin to the Mercedes-Benz, as my reasons were because I feel like the Mercedes-Benz was a lot more of a better car than the Aston Martin, especially when it comes down to handling and straight line speed. It's just a lot more balanced in my opinion. Anyways, before we jump into the race, if you guys haven't yet, we're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you guys really like the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys leave a like. And let's try to reach this goal before the end of the year. Anyways, we're starting the warm-up now as we jump in to see how many points we can actually get on this race, and we are racing for 225 points if we get first place. It's going to be a very, very difficult feat, but I think we can get it, as we have a pretty dominant car here at Lake Major. So coming to the end of our qualifying here, we actually ran a pretty good lap, but I get a little too much of a run coming out of the final turn that we actually had to let go of the gas a little bit, which cost us about 2 or 3 tenths. So we actually qualify in 9th here. Yeah, as you see, we qualify in 9th, and you can see above us we're only behind by 9 tenths of a second, so it's a pretty close spread throughout the field. So it's going to be a really, really close race. No margin of error as we are coming into the Manufacturer Series intro. It's going to be no margin of error basically for this race, as we got to be pinpoint perfect on our racecraft, as everyone is only separated by about 1.5 seconds. So again, a very, very close field, and we're going to be starting right in the middle of it. As you can see, we are in 9th. So let's see if we can try to make our way up the field and get a good position finish for the race. So coming into turn number 1 here, we're right behind the other Mercedes as we brake kind of late, get a little bit loose coming into the first turn, but we don't make any contact. So we are able to kind of just stay behind 8th and just follow him through the first 2 turns. As we head into turn number 3, that's going to lead us into the long straightaway. You see there's a car behind us that's also following us, but we basically stay in line coming out of turn number 4, going into the straightaway. We fast forward here as nothing really happens, but we try to stay behind this group of cars right here, because the main point of this race is going to be to stay behind the slipstream and just make passes when you can. We're coming up on a really, really good passing zone, coming up down the straightaway, leading into the hairpin. We kind of make a look on 8th place of the Mercedes, but we back out as the Mercedes actually just dives it in there, makes a little bit of contact with the Lexus ahead, and he's able to make the move there, but the Lexus gets a 5-second penalty. Wow, okay, so that's one thing we have to keep an eye on throughout this race, is make sure no one gets underneath us throughout the hairpin, as you see ahead of us, the Lexus has a 5-second penalty. So again, going back to the strategy, I guess the strategy here is to not get a penalty, but also to stay behind the cars ahead of you, save some gas, and it's going to be a one-stop here, as I believe the hard tires were the required tires on this race, but you only have 2 options, which is the medium and the hards, as you make an overtake there coming through the penalty zone. But yeah, the mediums and the hards were going to be the only 2 compounds here for this race, so it's basically just a one-stop race where you can try to do 2 stops and do a medium, hard, but we decided to go for the one stop and just save as much fuel as we can as we go throughout the race. Now coming to lap number 3, coming to turn number 1, we get a little bit of a tap behind as we're still trying to make a move on the Mercedes. We're still in 8th as we're following him on the slipstream coming into turn number 3 and 4. We fast forward, heading to the straightaway here. You see the Mercedes actually gets a little bit wide coming out of turn number 4, and we brake very, very late coming into this long right-hander, and we actually get a really good run out of this turn right here as we try to make a move on the outside. And are we going to try to make a move going into these S's right here? We actually don't. We back out of it and think twice about doing that move. Get right behind the Mercedes, as we're going to try to get into the slipstream and hopefully make a move on the long straightaway that leads us into the hairpin. So following him through the S's here, we get over the yellow curb ring right there, and luckily we didn't get a penalty, because I really thought we were going to get a penalty. But you see the car behind us is gaining on us also, so we get a good slipstream off the Mercedes, and the car behind us gets a good slipstream on us. And we're about to go 3 wide going into the hairpin, but the car behind actually backs out of it, and we're able to make the move on the Mercedes. Check back, and he is now pushed down to 8th. So we were able to make our way up to 7th now, and the only thing that I'm thinking about now is how we can catch up to 6. As you can see, we're about a second and 1.8 seconds behind. And luckily, the car ahead actually gets a penalty, so that brings him down closer towards us. So now we can get into a slipstream, and hopefully his slipstream could pull us up to the front cars ahead of him, and we can try to make our move up to at least the podium. So coming into the S's here, we're still gaining a little bit of time as we actually missed the apex going into the first turn. So we get a really bad entrance going into these S's, but we have to try to capitalize it coming out of the S's and see if we can try to make at least some ground coming down the straightaways to try to get into the slipstream. Nothing really happens, so we jump up into lap number 5 as we come out of the final turn here. We're actually going to be able to make another overtake as the car comes in on the mediums, actually pretty early, if I say so myself, but he comes into pits and switches from the mediums, I believe, to the hards as we jump into lap number 6. As we jump into lap number 6, we're still trying to catch up to the car ahead of us, but you can see there's a car right behind us. As we try to brake right at the 50-meter board, we do so, and we clip our apex, but the car actually makes a very, very daring move going onto the inside, and we make a little bit of contact there as we come into the left-hander right here. And I get a 4-second penalty, and then we make a little bit of contact there coming out of the right-hander, and actually that gives me another 2-second penalty. So now we're up to 6 seconds of penalty, and we lost the position. So going back to the replay here, you see the Porsche brakes very, very late, makes contact with us as we just try to take the turn as normal as we can. Make a little bit of contact there, but oh my gosh, I honestly at this point I don't know what to do, because that's very, very ridiculous that we got a 6-second penalty for just very, very slight contact. Like, I've seen people get taken out throughout this race and a couple of other races, and they don't even receive a penalty. So, I mean, I hate sounding like a broken record, but just the GT sport really needs to get their act together and really needs to fix this penalty system, because honestly, I don't know how we can race like this. It's been so many times where I just wanted to quit playing this game, but with the penalty system being like this, like, I really don't know what to do, honestly. But we continue on with the race here. I hate ranting like that, but I just needed to get that off my chest. As we head into the race, we drop back all the way down to 10th position, and we're following 9th now as we try to stay behind him, and we actually got a couple cars behind us as we jump a little further into lap number 8. We passed the penalty zone. The car behind us had a penalty too, so he actually loses a couple of seconds behind us as we're still trying to catch up to 9th place there. We actually make a very, very early or late apex. We actually don't hit the apex, going back to it, but we jump up into the end of lap number 8. We're heading to the left-hander and the right-hander. You see there's a car behind us, and I'm just trying to do the best that I can. If I see him trying to make a move on the inside, I'm not even going to try to block him, because I just don't want to make contact with him and risk getting another penalty. So we just kind of let him go through, but allowing the 10th place car to go through, we allowed another car to go into our position. So the Mazda actually overtakes us, but we get behind the Mazda, and the car behind us luckily gives us the space. So now we're down to 12th position. As you can see, 2 cars are behind us fighting for the spot going into the final turn, heading down the straightaway. So we're in the slipstream now of the Mazda as we head into turn number 1. And you can see there's a car that actually comes out of the pits right there. It's the Mercedes. So now we're fighting 6 cars abreast for a position here. As you can see, there's beating and banging behind us. And I believe the Toyota gets a penalty too. Or does he? Actually, he doesn't. He got very, very lucky as he was beating and banging with the Mercedes. So I thought he was going to get a penalty. He tries to make a move on the inside of us. And luckily he doesn't. He backs out as we come into this long straightaway that's going to lead us into the right-hander here. We're going into the right-hander, brake right after that little rumble strip ending, and 9th place or 8th place actually goes spinning. So let's see what happened here. He actually brakes good, but clips the grass and ends up spinning himself out, hits the wall, and that gives us another position. So we were able to jump up into 10th. So now coming down to turn number 1 on lap 10, we actually get punted out, and that just makes our race go from bad to worse. So now we're all the way down to 12th place. As you see what happened as we're heading to turn number 1, the Lexus outbrakes himself and just hits us and takes us out. sending us into the shadow realm. Luckily, I mean, not luckily, but thankfully the Lexus actually realized his mistake and just waited there until we got, you know, settled and went back onto the track. So good on you, Lexus. I mean, I know you didn't mean to ram us out of the way, but just very unfortunate that that happened. That led our race to a worse race. But anyways, we jump up into lap number 10. We're able to make it a position, but we lose a position. So we stay in 12th place here. As there's a car behind us trying to make a move, heading into the S's now. We're staying behind the Porsche as nothing really happens here. As we jump up into lap number 10, we actually just lose it again. Going into turn number 1, as I got kind of scared from the car behind because I thought I was going to get punted out again, but yeah, so we lose it again. So it's now a catch-up game, trying to catch up to these guys. Heading to the final lap, we're right behind the Toyota, and we actually get punted again by the Mazda. So the Mazda actually gets a 1 second penalty. So at least, you know, you bump a car out, you get a 1 second penalty. You barely make contact with another car, you get a 4 second penalty. I mean, what kind of backward logic is that? But anyways, we're heading towards the straightaway, and the Mazda, I think, is going to serve his penalty. He actually doesn't, but he brakes right here for some reason. I think he realized that he made a mistake, so he decided to just brake early and let us have our race. So it's now me and Toyota, the Toyota, fighting for 12th position on the final lap as we head into the S's. And I think he's got worse tires than me. He's getting very, very loose. He's not even clipping the apex as we head into the first turn that leads us into the S's. We get a really good run coming out of here, but we get very, very close to him. So we're going to try to stay in the slipstream and try to make a move on the hairpin as we actually go a little bit wide going out of the final turn. We probably should have gone to the inside, but we try to make a move on the outside. We actually make a little bit of contact as we both try to go for the same space, heading to the narrow hairpin right here. We go side by side going into the turn. We let the 12th place Toyota go ahead of us as we try to make a move, stay behind him and get onto the slipstream and probably make a move heading to the further right-hander that we're going to go up to right about now. So we try to stay behind him, heading to the slipstream. We clip the grass a little bit, get a very, very good exit coming out. We're going to try to make a move on the inside, but we're a little too far back. So we try to make another move here as we can probably try to make it, but again, we're a little too far back. So it's going to basically be a drag race coming down to the start-finish line. As you see, we still have about a lap of fuel left. Coming to the final turn here, we're trying to get on the slipstream of him. We're actually getting challenged behind us. We get a very good run coming off. Are we going to be able to make anything happen from this as we're getting challenged for 13th? No. So we stay in 13th position, and that ends a very, very difficult race that I don't ever want to run again because it's just very, very ridiculous. But again, I hate ranting about the penalty system, but I just wish GT could fix it. But anyways, if you guys really like the content, I'm sorry that I kept ranting about the penalty system on this video. It's just very, very frustrating. But if you guys really like the content, subscribe down to the channel and leave a like on the channel as it really helps out the channel. I hope you guys really enjoyed that race, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.